want you to feel the words. Fuck yes. Yeah? It can be fuck yes or fuck yes. Whatever your version is, that is the guiding feeling of where we're going next, okay? Because getting clear, do I have the clicker? Where's the clicker? There's the clicker, okay. Because, no, we're gonna get here. Getting clear is not about your intelligence, it is about your intuition. Clarity is a feeling, not an idea. So all of you who want to know if you're doing this right, have you been doing this right? Only you know if you've been doing it right, okay? Because it's right here, and this part, we're gonna take what you generated in the messy, all the ingredients you just collected, and we're gonna take it to fuck yes. Now you get to be the strategist of your own life. You're gonna make meaning out of your mess. I tell my children and my strategists, there is knowledge and then there is knowing. Knowledge is the data, the facts, the figures, all the things we learned in school. Knowing is a much deeper place. That's where fuck yes lives, is in our knowing. So I say to my children, what's your knowing place say? When they come to me with a question, what's your knowing place say? My 10-year-old is the most practiced at that, because my 19-year-old had to deal with my, fumbling, wobbling into parenthood at every stage. So what I want you to do now is I want you to tune into your knowing. Read between the lines of what you've written. What's unspoken? What's yearning to burst out? What lies underneath? Zoom out if you need to, because sometimes when we're looking too close, like this beautiful carpet right here, when I mash my face into it, all I see are the threads, the colors of the threads. But when we zoom out, I see the beautiful, rich tapestry that is there. So we're gonna play with these micro and macro views of what you've generated so far. So we're gonna get back in. You're not gonna write a whole lot per se, but you're going to look at everything you've generated with your partners, on your own. From the very start, I've heard sprinklings of it in the hallways for those of you who you've run into each other. But I want you to look through, you took the beginner's mind, now I want you to look through it through strangers' eyes. If this is someone who never met you, who doesn't know you, how would they look at all the things you've generated today so far? What would they notice? So you are gonna write, but this is just, you're really looking for patterns, insights, ahas. What have your ingredients been telling you? What would they tell a stranger if they were to go through your notebook right now? What's emerging? What's percolating? What's yearning to break through? 2 minutes, let's just list that. And again, this is your gut and your intuition. Don't think, don't overthink. Allow what's bursting through. In this part of your life that you've decided to aim your focus on, what's been coming through to you? My guess is there are a lot of people here, me, myself included, who don't create this space. And that's what's so beautiful about the gift of today, is that Womentum has literally created all of this space for us to be in it together. So you don't have to have all the answers today. So whatever you have started now, we can carry into the weekend and keep carrying over and beyond the weekend as the practice. But we are going to play with our gut. This is an experiment, right? We're going to see how fast we can go with these things. So now that you've looked at and noticed what's been coming up and what your ingredients are telling you, we're going to sort them, okay? 3 buckets. The ingredients that are rising up to the top, the insights, patterns, ahas you just listed, which ones are essential, must-haves? They're sacred, non-negotiable, essential, you cannot imagine living without. For me, that was mad love. To look at the rest of my life without ever feeling the fire of desire again was not negotiable. So what have you generated, or what is still trying to come out that is non-negotiable in this part of your life that you are focusing on? And what's nice to have, but doesn't quite fit into the bucket of non-negotiable or sacred? You might want it, but you know at the end of the day, in your knowing place, it's not that important. I love those boots. I really wanted you to see me in those boots. But at the end of the day, it's way more important for me to be comfortable standing up here from 9 to 5. Right? So, and these give us an indication that they might be desires of the moment or of the current situation or circumstance, but it's not that achy, timeless thing that is fundamental or foundational. And then let's just start crossing out the shit we can do without. The noise. The distractions, the drama. Let's just put a nice line through those. We're done with those. So I want, before we move on, I want you to have a nice, rich, this doesn't have to be quantity, but I want you to have a nice, rich set of ingredients in the must-have.
Oh, more than one?
If it calls to you, you don't have to have more than one. Some people are further along into their clarity. Some people are, I already know my brief. But if you're still generating with your ingredients, yeah. But if your one feels, fuck yes, I'm there, that's great. So for me, when I was writing my Mad Love brief, Mad Love was non-negotiable. As was getting back to the place of co-creation with my husband instead of debating, negotiating schedules and who does more, who's not doing enough. I wanted to get creative again. I love the way his eyes light up when he's mid-idea. We call it he's the clay. He's just always brainstorming, you know? But my impatience is a cold shower on his brainstorming. Just dump buckets of ice waters because I'm impatient. I need to get to the answer, right? But I wanted to come back to this space of being co-creators. I wanted to come back into the space of feeling faith and trust in each other. That he's doing his part and I'm doing my part, and our parts look different, but they come together in a beautiful whole. And when we're in that space, we attract things for our family that we couldn't have imagined if we were only planning all the time. Those were my non-negotiables. Were my deep longing and craving for those things were not things I wanted to sacrifice or give up or compromise. Wasn't going to settle. That's what must-haves look like. The nice-to-haves and the can-do-withouts we're going to leave behind. Everything going forward in your notebook is only going to play with the must-haves. Okay? So I want you to have something to play with. Is there anyone that doesn't have any must-haves to work with? Because I want to make sure we're all moving along together. Okay, great. Now we're going to draft our briefs. Okay? You don't have to worry about the words. You're just going to practice. This is a gut brief. You're going to practice your statements. And here are the rules around your statements. They're going up to 5 things. You can have one. You absolutely can have one. You don't have to have 5. But we're not going to have more than 5 because briefs are meant to be brief. Okay? And each sentence is going to start with something present and declarative. I choose. I'm ready. I am. Not I hope for, not even I want. This is not a bucket list. It's not a wish list. This is a declaration of what you choose right here, right now, in this part of your life that you have decided to brief. And this is your gut brief, so I don't want you to overthink it. Here are different ones. These are in my language, not yours, so you don't have to feel like you have to speak in my language. This is my work brief. I am ready to walk a path of fulfillment, not just achievement. Now, I know if you read my bio, it looks like I'm a high-achieving person, but the achievement is an outcome of my dedication to fulfillment. That's the irony in it. The more I sought to fulfill, to make fulfilling choices, the more the achievement happened to be a byproduct, which is, it was so counterintuitive for me. I am ready to leverage my unique gifts and strengths to their full potential. And what this looked like is being a imperfect woman at the top of my agency and now at the top of my industry. When I was coming up the ranks of business, women had to be perfect and polished. Because if you weren't, you'd be taken down. But I know women fall out of their careers at the mid-level because they look up and the only women they see seem to be perfect and polished. And I decided, no, I'm a hot mess. And until I reveal, and more women at the top reveal that they too are hot messes, other women are not going to aspire to go there. If they think it requires all kinds of, Because perfection requires a whole lot of sacrifice. And if they can see a mother of 4 at the top who doesn't have it all together all the time, maybe they will too keep going. I am ready to do work that lights me up and unleashes my creativity. I now get to say, I'm not just a strategist, I'm a maker and creator too. I'm ready to activate purpose, possibility, and leadership in others. That's why I do the life brief. It gives me infinite fulfillment and joy. I am ready to influence and impact people in meaningful and lasting ways. No, I do not have to sell Cheetos and Doritos for the rest of my life or Comcast Internet. These are the things I do in advertising. But I can also work on amazing initiatives that I care deeply about, including the life brief, but also child sex trafficking, also pollution and climate change, and aim all the skills and gifts I have learned at some of our most pressing problems. This is someone else's life brief. I am ready to welcome in my full worth and wealth. This is from someone who was very reticent to charge money for her work. I was just talking to Kristen, and I am now friends with a lot of CFOs, women CFOs, and one has a mantra for all women: add a 0 to it. You ready to send that invoice? Add another 0 to it. It just stays with me. It's so juicy and good. I am ready to shift from student to master. I know there's issues with that word, but we get the point. I am ready to learn from my clients as they learn from me. Have it be an exchange. I am ready to scale my ability to help others, creating lasting wholesale change. I am ready to have the world know my name and my work. A parenting brief. I am ready to parent consciously and creatively, centered in love for who he is and who he's becoming. I am ready to give him space to use his voice, hear his perspective, acknowledge his views. I am ready to share personal, maybe raw stories, reveal intimately who I am as a person, not just a parent. I am ready to focus on the long game. Challenge him to go to his edge without going over it. I am ready to hold him accountable while forgiving his mistakes. I am ready to let him know that this is what real love looks like. Real love is not permissive. Real love stands in accountability. And this was my parenting brief that my husband wrote during the pandemic when we were losing our son in his adolescence. And this is the brief that got me out of bed at 2 a.m. when he came home after sneaking out and pulling myself out of bed when I wanted so desperately just to hide, act natural, wait for the morning. And it got me out of bed and into his room, even as he was kicking and screaming and saying, "Get out, Mom." Nope, I'm going to stand right here, and we're going to talk about what just happened tonight. And I want you to know I'm here because I love you, and this is what real love looks like. And in your future, I want you to look for people in your life who show up like I'm showing up right now for you. We're not going here yet. I want you to write your brief. The lens that you chose to focus on this morning. I want you to write up to 5 declarative statements about what you want. And I don't want you to think about how are you going to get it, whether it's possible. All I want you to feel is, fuck yes, I want that. Because the boldest thing that we can allow ourselves to do is to be honest with ourselves about what we want without needing to have it. That is courage, to allow your truth to come out and onto the page. Only for yourself, no one else. And to be able to be with it. Now, whatever statements you just wrote down, we're going to push them. You're going to rewrite them 1, 2, maybe 3 times. Whatever you need. And I want you to ask yourself, where can you be more honest? I could have said, I want to get along with my husband. I want to get along with Chip. I want to stop fighting all the time. But no, I went to, I want mad love. Because really, that's what I really want. Do your words get you to fuck yes? Or can you go deeper? Can you get bolder? Can you get sharper, more vivid? Not just passionate love, mad love. Play with words. So words are a strategist's lifeblood. Because when we write briefs for creative people, one word can be the difference between meh to fuck yes. I always know when I've written a great brief for creatives because their eyes I can see, they're already generating, right? So what we want to do is push our briefs to that wild place, my one wild life, right? The wildest place. And what I want to say is bold doesn't necessarily meet society's definition of bold. Not about go big or go home, bold. Because what I heard from KJ, bold might mean stepping back, getting off the hamster wheel, slowing down. That might be the boldest thing you can do, to take pause, to create more spaciousness. For Mickey, it might be to bring some of Liz's rebellion. No more cultural, communal, societal expectations. I'm going to carve my own road. I'm going to define what work success looks like. Or, as we talked about over lunch, bold might mean, I know my parents want this, but I'm ready to stand in this. And I might need to have the conversation. Or at least for myself know that what I want might go against what they want for me. So bold looks like whatever bold looks like for you, not for me. So I just taught a class, and when we came to this part of the class, I had a student who said, I have 2 briefs. I don't know which one is the right brief. And I said, okay, well, why don't you read them to me? And she read the first one. It was beautiful. And I could see the other students in the class just feeling something. Even on Zoom, I could see that they were moved by it. Then she read the second version, and I thought, oh, that's a pretty snazzy brief. And I refrained from saying anything. She said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, how did you feel reading the first brief versus the second brief?" She said, "I'm really moved by the first brief." And she said, "I think I wrote the second brief to impress you." And I recognized that, because I was like, "Oh, that's a good brief." She was writing because she had, in class, felt my voice, right, through my briefs. But her real brief was the first brief. So that's what I want you to do, is find your brief in your voice. Because you are the only one that matters. And unless your brief makes you feel fuck yes, then it's going to be meh, and you're not going to remember it after today. So push your brief all the way to that place. And if it makes you nervous, great. And once you have some really juicy declarative statements, I want you to name your brief. So for me, in this moment with my husband, Mad Love was the name of my brief. It was the sharp, sticky name, handle, that always came up when I needed to be reminded of all the ways we could be. Again, do not believe it was possible. Here are other names of my past briefs. Walk a path of fulfillment, not just achievement. That was a work brief that I wrote maybe 10 years ago. Love my son through accountability. My wealth brief is to be rich in relationship. When I got down to it, I have a whole trigger and a set of limiting beliefs around money. But during the pandemic, my husband again raised the driving question, the penetrating question. What is enough? Do we know what enough looks like? Yeah. We had a great conversation in the kitchen, and we literally defined enough. And the striving came off my shoulders. And I could breathe. And then when I asked myself if I could only be rich in one thing, what would that be? I want to be rich in relationship. So I'm reminded of this every time I have a choice to be with good friends, spend time with my daughter, move my son to college, and work says, no, I know. It's not always easy, but I know. Because my brief is to be rich in relationship. Relations, not just solutions. This was my leadership brief after George Floyd. I have worked on some of the most cutting-edge social cause campaigns in our industry. Child sex trafficking, college campus rape, ocean plastics. So many innovative ideas, award-winning, effective, changing. And even in March 2020, a month before Breonna Taylor and a couple months before George Floyd, we launched as an agency a campaign called Not a Gun, which went directly at racial bias among law enforcement, where, a black or brown hand holding a candy bar or water bottle or a cell phone feels weaponized, dangerous. So we've worked on all these things as an agency, but what I realized in the wake of George Floyd, that we cannot bridge our differences just with innovation or systemic solutions. Because when we do that, it still keeps us an arm's length away from where real change happens, which is being in relationship with people who are different from us, with people we don't agree with, especially in the moments that are deeply frustrating, if not infuriating. But if we cannot stay in the conversation in those moments, then change will not ever really happen. Because until each of us, and me as a leader, can stay in those conversations and model that, then I'm not really leading. And that's what it's going to take to bridge our differences. So what is the name of your brief? You can borrow the name. It can come straight out of your brief like Mad Love, right? Came from my husband's question. It just stuck. It can be a lyric of a song. It can be something you heard. It can be a poem. Mary Oliver's great for that. In the class I just taught, a woman said, "It's a Bjork song. The name of my brief is Big Time Sensuality." And everyone erupted and was like, "Yes, I want that as my brief." So name it in a way that's just going to tattoo right here. So it's always with you. You don't have to take a picture of it. You don't have to put it on your laptop. You can if you want, but when it's sticky, it hits here. That's what we do really well in advertising. Got milk? Just do it. So find that thing that sticks and will not go away. All right, that was big work. That was probably our shortest session, but the biggest work. So we're gonna take a moment, keep going if you still feel something beckoning to come out. Otherwise, let's take a break, and then we're gonna have Ruth come up, and we're just gonna relax back into our seats and listen to a chat. Thank you.